Hello YouTubers and hello vinyl community. There's been some time since I made a video now, but it's time for another update when it comes to the latest albums that I got hold of. I'm going to start with this limited edition on the Svart Records label. It's Tasavalan Residential. And this album is called Tasavalan Residential, and it says here you're staring at a piece of Finnish rock history, originally released on Love Records. This classic record has been faithfully 20-bit mastered for vinyl from the original tapes and is fully authorized. This version is on black vinyl and limited to 300 copies. So I look forward to listen to this in a while. Got hold of Gentle Giant, freehand from 1975, I think, and it's on Chrysalis. Starting to get hold of more and more Gentle Giant albums, although I don't have the earliest ones. Some 60s, Hollies sings Dylan from 1969 on the Polyphone label. I think I have a reissue of this on a reissue, but this seems to be the real deal. Yeah, I was not very fond. Well, I'm still not very fond of Bee Gees of the Staying Alive era, because well, I just don't like that kind of singing, first of all. But that dislike made me really not being able to explore or listen to the early Bee Gees until a couple of years ago, and I managed to get hold of one of these early ones. It's Cucumber Castle on Polydor, and I think it's from 1970. Is it? Yes. This is an English pressing. It has a Swedish Electra inner sleeve, so that's not the right one, obviously. And also got hold of a better copy of Jethro Tull's Aqualung. This is a, well, it says Chrysalis on the label, but it's issued on the Swedish Sonnet label, like this. I had this before, but I had quite a worn copy that both looked and sounded quite dreadful. But this is much better, an upgrade. Okay, over to a Swedish rock classic. Nationalteotin's album Livet är en fest from 1974. Very famous Swedish record. Very popular. And for some reason I haven't had this before, even though I've been looking for a good copy, and I found one. It sold quite good, but still people who had it loved it and played it, so it often isn't in that good condition when you find it, but this is good. It's on the M&W label. And over to the same group, but another record. This is a children's record. This is a real Swedish classic when it comes to children records. It's called Olmar och Carl Zipper from 1970 something. 76? Yeah, 6. And it's a double album, and even though I didn't have this as a child, I had lots of children records as a child, I didn't have this one, but the songs from this album, they were played all the time, everywhere. So I think when I looked through all these different titles, I seem to remember most of them now, 30, 5 years later or so. So it was a very popular record, very playful and a bit political. Now, well, this was quite fun. I didn't know that this existed. This is a vinyl 78 RPM of the Stiff label. Stiff Records, or Stiff Recordings as it says on the label. It's Joe King Rasco and the Crowns playing Bueno, and on the on the flip side, Tough Enough. And it is a vinyl 78 RPM, so I have to play it in 78 RPM. And it's made to look as if it was from the old 78 RPM era. It says electrically recorded, which I'm sure it is. And I had no idea that Stiff issued this kind of funny record, and I wonder how many were printed. It says here, quality use Stiff needles. No, for genuine quality use, hi-fi tonal Stiff needles. So we needed needles that were stiff to play this, and well, this was too fun to not get hold of. It wasn't expensive either. Speaking of 78 RPM music, we have Cab Calloway, jazz singer in the 1930s. We have a 1960s compilation of the Decca Ace of Hearts label, The King of Hi-De-Ho. Well, probably his most famous number was Minnie the Moocher, that has been recorded by several artists by then. And also we had songs like You Rascal You, St. Louis Blues, Some of These Days. So not that easy to get hold of the original 78 RPMs. I'm not sure whether I actually have any. I might have one or two, but I'm not sure. The whole discography doesn't fit in here nowadays. Maybe first of all, I have more records. Also, my brain is getting older. Yeah. Always been a fan of Electric Light Orchestra, especially, well, when I grew up, it was music that I really liked to listen to on the radio, even though I didn't really buy the records then, but I liked their songs in the 80s. This is one of their earlier ones, Showdown, and it's from 1973. It's on Harvest. Not sure if is it their first or is it their second? I can't remember now. Anyway, this kind of symphonic rock with the true music enthusiast. You can really feel that Jeff Lynne loved music and loved pop music and making it so. Even though sometimes it can get a bit too much Jeff Lynne on the records, but I don't always see that as a bad thing. You feel, oh yeah, there's lots of Jeff Lynne style symphonic music on this album, but you can always hear when he has been involved in any record. Oh yeah, I upgraded some of my Paul McCartney and Wings albums because the copies I've had haven't been that good, but been updating them a bit. First we have English UK original McCartney from 1970. You of course, you're familiar with this one. And I had only a Russian issue, St. Petersburg on the St. Petersburg based label Antrop, and yeah, it's good. I mean, good to listen to, but of course not as good as the original. Okay, and they're not in the right order here. To show you quickly, Ram from 1971. I only had the quite recent mono issue of Ram. For some reason, I've never had Ram before, but now I decide, well, this is not good enough. I'm a great Paul McCartney fan. Why don't I have Ram? And I listened to the mono issue. It's a great album. Although I read somewhere sometime many years ago that it was atrocious, but it's good. I mean, it's not Beatles. And I think that's the problem with all the early Paul McCartney albums, that the critics, they say they don't listen really to the Paul McCartney. They want Beatles. It doesn't matter how good or how bad this is. It isn't Beatles, so it's not good. So, and the first Wings album, Wildlife, from 1971. I actually had a Russian issue of this also. I don't remember if it was on Antrop or perhaps Melodia. Then finally, these two, Wings at the Speed of Sound and London Town. Some of the mid albums by the Wings. I didn't have them at all, but I found it quite cheap, so I got them. Right. Over to one of last year's reissues of the Swedish prog group Saga. Jonas, our friend here in the vinyl community, called this a bit of a poor man's Yes, and he wasn't too fond of it. I think I like it. I don't think the Swedish language gets in the way of the good music, but then we're all different. So this was originally recorded in 1970 something. I can't see it here now. 1970, right. And last year this was issued. Same album, no, same Angels, same Saga, but number 2. And this is not an LP. This is a 45 RPM record with 4 tracks. We have around 20 minutes playing time all in all, and it's very good. I really wish that they would have made a full album. Then I'd be all over the moon for this, but good. Welcome back, Saga. Yeah, I found this one, and this is one of the records that I bought back in the 90s on CD, but of course I've been trying to get hold of the old CD favorites on vinyl, and that's not always that easy, especially not when we talk about records from the 90s, especially the mid-90s and later. And this is Fugees, the score. And it's probably the only album that I have in my collection that you can call hip-hop, because that's not my music genre at all. But we have, of course, Wyclef, we have Lauren, and we have the third one that I never can remember his name. Prass, yeah. Of course, Lauryn Hill, genius. Total genius. I have her 2 albums. The first one also on vinyl. The second, which is the MTV Unplugged album. I don't know if that has ever been issued on vinyl. I really would like it on vinyl as well. Lauryn Hill, what are you waiting? We want another album now. Oh, she's great. She's really great. Right, I've been very inspired by some of my fellow collectors in Finland the last year or so, and I've started buying more and more. I showed you Tasavalan Residential, and now I'm going to show you this rather recent album of the good Svart label. It's Mikkeli, The Bone of My Bones. Well, it comes from the heavy metal. Well, he has a background in heavy metal, but this is not heavy metal at all. It's more like folk, drone, very acoustic. It's very difficult really to describe unless you really listen to it, but it's very good. I have to recommend this. And this is one of the albums I bought on a whim. I thought the description of this album sounded very interesting, so I got it. And recommend it very much. Right. I bought a fairly new album with one of my favorites from the 1990s. I haven't really listened to them for the last 12, 13 years or so, but then I found this and I thought, well, why not? We talk about the magnetic fields, and this is Love at the Bottom of the Sea. And I think Stephen Merritt, their leader, the group's leader, is one of the great songwriters, pop songwriters of the last 15 years, 20 years maybe. I really liked the mix between synthesizer and very acoustic record instruments in the 1990s. And this sounds fairly like it used to be. We got 15 songs on this album. I think it's 15, yeah. But none of them are longer than 3 minutes. So the playing time is around 40 minutes. But still, you don't get bored by the songs. They're very focused. They get to the point very quickly, and it's quality pop. Oh yeah, well, over to this one. This is one of these odd things. Well, first of all, I get some memories back from my childhood, because when this was on TV, it was one of the highlights of the week. Flintstones. And this is original TV soundtrack, the Flintstones, with the voices Alan Reed, Jerry Vanderpeel, or Pyle, I don't know, Mel Blanc, Bia Benadert. Sorry. Well, it's a real stuff, the real thing. We have 2 episodes: the Snorkosaurus and the Big Bank Robbery. What's a bit odd about this is not an American issue. It's a British. It's a Golden Guinea product. And Golden Guinea was Pye. P-Y-E. Very familiar. Well, they made TV sets. They made gramophones. They made radios, and they made records. This was issued on the Pye Golden Guinea label in 1960, although I don't know if it is this what this was issued in United States, because of course it's an American recording issued in England. Could this have been issued on Colpix in United States? I don't know. Anyway, great fun to find and great fun to listen to these adventures. Okay, over to Divergence Solution. This is Dutch prog. They made a couple of records in the early 70s. This is on Harvest, and I think this is their second album. You don't really hear them that often today, but I think this is good stuff, good Dutch prog. And I definitely don't see them, these albums, very often. Whew. Have I not been doing anything else than buying records lately? Right, to fill in the few gaps in my Queen collection, we have Live Magic from 1986, and we have Greatest Hits 2. And this was issued, well, mainly on CD back in the days, so it's not as common on vinyl. I think it's from 1991 or 1992, and it sold well, but most of it sold on CD. And this is a quite nasty tear here on the sleeve, but records are fine. And one of my favorite when it comes to British folk singing, we have Ralph McTell, early Ralph McTell. This is an early Ralph McTell on Transatlantic from 1969. My Side of Your Window. He went on to become a great star with the song. When I think he re-recorded the song Streets of London, which is a great song, but he's made lots of other good stuff apart from that, especially on his early records when he's very jug band influenced. I think those records are the most interesting ones. Right. Yeah, over to another thing. I'm going to show you CDs. I rarely buy CDs, but these I think I should really show you because very interesting issues. First we have this one. CD box. It's called Proglodon, and that means the prog box. And what do we have here? Well, we have recordings made by the Swedish radio between 1967 to 1985. We have 40 CDs divided in 4 boxes with 10 in each, with around 80 bands, and we have almost all the prog bands, well, not all of them, but lots of them, in all different styles. We have Hula Band, and these are recordings that weren't issued on records before. They have been in the radio archive, and many of us have been wanting these radio concert recordings to be issued, and we maybe didn't expect that this kind of box would be issued. Of course, since it's 40 CDs, it is not that cheap, although you get quite a lot of music for the money. So maybe they should have issued these 4 boxes within the box separately as well. Maybe they will, I don't know. I think though I would buy all of them because, well, yeah, I think so. Well, we have Hula Bandoola band, we have Turid, we have Samla Mammas Manna, we have November, we have Kaipa, we have Rekyl, we have Kebnekaise. It's filled with all kinds of Swedish progressive or prog, politically and musically prog music. I listened to a couple of these CDs, but it's, as I said, it's 40 CDs, so it will take time to listen through all of them. And I have to say the sound quality is very good. I mean, the recording engineers, the sound technicians at Swedish radio, they were very good because they were among the best ones in Sweden. So good quality. The only thing, apart from the fact that they maybe should have issued these boxes separately, is that the text that accompany this box is quite poorly written. Lots of spelling errors, and the guy who wrote it is a famous prog musician, but I'm not going to mention his name here. He even states that I know there's lots of spelling errors and language errors. Still, we have lots of factual errors and names spelled wrongly. They should have really read that through and fixed it before issuing it, because such a good box, such a magnificent box to issue, it's a bit sad to have this kind of thing to complain about, because it's uncalled for. It could have been done better. Still, lots of good listening there. Okay, I'm going to show you now some old stuff. This is a book that was issued back in, I think, 1995, called Sturapbuchen, and it lists all the Swedish rock recordings, or rock and pop recordings, between 1954 to 1969, with pictures, biography, evaluation, on the records. And this book became very popular in a very short time, and it sold out very quickly. I was very lucky to get one when they were new. I didn't know they would sell out that quickly, but I got hold of one. I bought one when it was released back in 1995, I think. I think that was very smart of me to do that, and I've learned lots from this book. Also, at the time, the book company Premium Publishing cooperated with EMI and issued this 3 CD box called Sturapbuchen, and it's a very good box with not just the most famous Swedish pop from the 1960s, but some of the author of this book, some of his favorites. Anyway, there's now talk of this book being reissued and probably updated, and maybe it's about time, because this book is very sought after, and I've seen it on internet auction sites for almost 5 times as much as I paid when this was new, and it wasn't for free, so to speak. So there's talk that this is being updated. We don't know when it will be issued, but probably quite soon. I don't think they'll wait that long, because now this has been issued. Sturapbuchen, and it's not a reissue of this one, although some of the tracks on this 3 CD set is on this. They are on this 4 CD set as well, but not that many, maybe a handful. And it's been issued, and people say, well, while waiting for the new print of Sturapbuchen, here comes Sturapbuchen. So something new for the pop buffs. So this will probably be reissued quite soon, although I don't know why, but probably quite soon. They're building up this expectation for it to be issued because it's such a sought after book. Oh my goodness, I've been talking for 27 minutes now. I admire those of you who have been able to sit through this whole video, if anybody has done that. Hats off to you. Right, I'm now going to have a nice and calm Saturday night, and I wish you all the best. Bye bye.